is Larry Lursey, and welcome back for another tutorial. This month I've got a really fun one for you. You know, if you've got a really nice 2.8 lens that you can throw that background out of focus and get some of these shots with the really shallow depth of field and the little bokeh circles in the background, really nice look, but the lenses can be really expensive. So I'm going to show you how to recreate that look in Photoshop. And basically what we're going to do is I'm going to start with these two elements. One, you need a skyline or some sort of a city shot, something with lights basically, because that's what we're going to work with as the background. And then some sort of a model to put in front of them. I photographed this guy on just gray seamless because that's easier on doing the extraction for a tutorial like this, is just make things go faster. But you can do whatever type of a shot you want for this front shot. It's just easier if they're on a clean background. So first thing we gotta do is combine these two together. I'm going to take my skyline here, make sure that I've got the move tool right there selected. You can hit V for that, and I'm just going to drag it over. There we go. Don't need this anymore, so I can close it. All right, so now I'm going to hit F, go into full screen mode, and let's take a look at what we've got here. All right. So this is where our background is. We've got to figure out how exactly we want to position it. This is probably pretty close. We'll decide exactly how we want it once we figure out where everything's going to go. So let's bring in our layers here. And I'm going to go ahead and double click on this one and just call that model. We'll call this one city. Let's keep things organized. I'm going to drag this layer down below because I want the model to be on top of the city. Just like that. Okay, so far so good. So I'm going to turn off this top layer right there. Click on this, and we're going to work on creating that blurred background. I'm going to come up here to Filter, Blur, Field Blur. Let's get our little windows right here. Okay, so through here you're going to try and first thing start with the blur here. And we want to give it just basically an out of focus blur. And you know, some of this kind of depends on what you like. I like something like this, right about 40%, 45%. We'll go with that for now. Then you're going to drop down here to the blur effects panel and use this light bokeh slider. And what it's going to do is start creating these little circles. And I'm going to bring it up to, that's like 63% right there. Maybe let's go up to, or 67%. Let's see what that does. And then you come down here to light range, and you can use this black slider to tone it down a little bit. So, and you'll notice it takes a second to kind of render in between. I'm going to take it down a little bit darker. May even add a little more blur. Bring this up to, I think that's too much. There's 52. I think 52 looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that blur and the darkness of it. So we're going to go with that. I'm going to hit enter. It'll take a second for it to process depending on how fast your computer is and how big the image is. This won't take too long. All right, now our background's ready to go. So we're going to click on the top layer, the model, turn him back on. Now we just basically need to remove him from this background, which is easy enough with our quick selection tool right here. So I'm going to click on the quick selection tool. Up here I'm going to make sure it's on plus. Use my brackets to make the brush a little bigger. And I'm just going to go through and select him. Pretty easy. I'm going to zoom in a little closer here. And I got a few things I need to get rid of. A little bit smaller brush. I'm going to hold down the Option key and kind of paint in this area. Good. Let's just look up here. Make sure there's nothing else. I think that all looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Refine Edge. Now what we want to do here is, let's drop back just a touch. See what we're doing. There we go. Go back to the tool. On your view, you've got a bunch of different options. You've got marching ants. It might go to this overlay. You want on layers because that's going to allow us to see exactly what's really behind him on this. Okay, so we've got that set up. Not a whole much more to do here. I'm going to go ahead and run the brush along the edge just to Clean that up just a touch. I think that looks pretty good. And I've got my smart radius on. It's set about 4 pixels rather. The shift edge, I'm going to come in a little bit. Do a little more than I might, just because I've got this rim light going around him there that I don't want to show up. So it's at -55. But I'm pretty happy with how that looks overall. I think that looks good, so hit OK. Now, what you might want to do at this point is slightly reposition the city. Let's go back there, hit the V tool, and just decide on where exactly what you want those spots, since we have that luxury. I kind of like that better as opposed to having that big white one right beside his head. Maybe even shift it up a touch. I think that looks pretty nice like that. All right, so there's our model on top of the background. Looking pretty good so far. A few things we're going to do, though, to kind of make it a little bit nicer. First thing is we're going to go right down here, a little circle with a slash through it, and click Photo Filter. And it's set to Warming Filter, which is the one we're going to use. And you're pretty much good to go. Just pick that Warming Filter 85. And it basically is going to throw this warming effect onto him and the background, just to kind of let the colors sit together a little nicer. So I think that looks pretty good. Let's drop back just a touch so we can see what we're doing. Nope, I'm losing a little bit of the background there, so I got to take my city back down a touch. Easy enough. All right, so we got the filter on top. You can see there's the before and after. It's a very minor effect. Just kind of gives it a little more color cohesiveness, I guess. And then the last thing I want to do is give it a little bit of dodge and burn to kind of just bring the focus in a little bit, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Basically, what we're going to do is go up here, make sure we got this top, we want it up here at the top. I'm going to go up to Layer, New Layer. We're going to set the mode to Soft Light, and then click this little box right here, Fill with 50% gray. And you'll see it doesn't really look, we can turn this layer off and on. Can't really even see anything. We're going to use this to do our burning on. So I'm going to go over here, get the burn tool. And all I'm going to do, I'm set to about 10% midtones. Just do a little bit here along the edges. Just like that. And then I'm going to go on the background, tone down some of this a little bit. Just kind of give it a little bit of a vignette. Maybe a touch more on the side of him. And we can look at before and after. And you may decide it's a little too much. You can just take the opacity down right here just a little bit. But that just kind of ties it in a little bit better. And there you go. You got it in front of the background. You've got the nice drop off here and the little circles of light, and looks really nice. And it doesn't take all that long to do. So I hope you will give this a try and let me know how it works. So again, best of luck trying this out, and I will see you next month. Bye-bye.